Welcome to episode 2 of Music Detectives with The Sims. I am your host, Dan. This is my co-host, Izzy.
Hello.
There you go. She said hello. That might be all we hear from her. So she wants to play a couple songs for me that I have not actually heard. Normally we try to dissect the lyrics, but what we realize is beyond dissecting the lyrics, there's a lot to dissect about music. So we've just kind of we've moved from being a detective to a coroner, basically. We're just going to chop up whatever we find on the table. So what's our first song?
Our first song is Drugs by Falling in Reverse.
And so right off the bat, we start off with a metaphor, don't we?
Falling in Reverse?
Yeah, the band name.
Yeah.
I mean, what would Falling in Reverse be?
Falling in Reverse? Rising.
There you go,
I had to do
Rising.
hand movements.
She did hand movements for a non-videoed show. Well, non-videoed show? I don't know. So presently, as you can see, we have The Sims up. Izzy's big idea for the day is to try to recreate Bayonetta from the game Bayonetta, where
Great game,
where
play
she
it.
plays the character Bayonetta. And basically, she's a gun-toting witch. So,
This is going to be very difficult to make.
yeah, and the first song we start with, "Drugs" by Falling in Reverse, actually mentions a loaded gun.
Yeah.
But it really is kind of a straightforward song lyrically. I don't think there's a lot of necessary metaphors in there, but I always look for the metaphors. So beyond just their name, Falling in Reverse, which really means rising, I think the metaphor of this song is like flipping through the radio stations, desperate to find something to listen to. Because I think there was about 4 or 5 distinct styles in that one song.
Yes.
There was a little bit of growl rock at one point, and
There was a rap part.
there was a rap part. There was some definite cheesy pop. There was some heavy metal. There was some kind of like popish heavy metal hybrid, I guess. So, but right off the bat, I thought we were going to go down a rabbit hole here because he says they say God is real. I disagree because if that was true, we'd all be free. But like personally, apparently, that's a good disclaimer, isn't it? The word apparently. What do you think? Yes.
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 Okay.
I was trying to think of that one-eyed zombie reference.
Oh, okay. So we're on to iZombie. But
Besides point.
what was the point there? But apparently we're free to make our choices, and that's what God's judging us on. But that's not what this song's about. I think a lot of it is pretty much just summed up in the chorus and some of the repeated themes throughout it. That indeed we are becoming a nation that is on drugs of one sort or the other, And I think he talks about that a little bit, running from something that's killing me, dealing with such an uncomfortable feeling. He thanks his friends, which is, honestly, it's starting to get almost, I can't think of the word. What is the word that I'm thinking for?
I don't have any idea what track you're on, so I'm sorry.
We'll just start throwing out words, and maybe one of them will stick. It's
Lipstick in my Valentino.
No, that's not it. That's not it.
No, I was thinking of a.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I went
you
down
know.
a rabbit hole.
Yeah, you almost dropped your croissant.
Yeah.
Right into the free shavakadu. But it's just kind of. I mean, it's not a complaint because I think it's good that humility is becoming the stereotypical. So I'm trying to think of like that, like where it's kind of generic now to thank your fans, and to say that you're not a celebrity. And I'm just pointing it out. I'm not judging because some of the artists that I've fallen in love with recently are, they repeat the same themes, 21 Pilots, Tom McDonald, guys like that. They jump to mind as people who are very appreciative of the fans that made them. But then he moves into the whole drugs. The American dream is a killing machine. We're falling in love with a new disease. If it's killing you, then it's murdering me. and he may be branching off onto other themes at that point, but I think in a lot of ways he is just kind of talking about how, sad it has become that the very medicines that can cure us are also causing such disease in the culture. Does that sound to be about right on point there?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Would you like to expound on that? Or she's stuck in building Bayonetta mode?
a little bit.
It's kind of is that a Bayonetta? I'm not really too familiar with her face. So he goes on, we're having so much fun staring down a loaded gun. And that's kind of a jumping off point, but I don't really want to make the leap. I don't want to go all specific on this one, but a lot of times when you're talking about staring down a loaded gun, at least in my one of the ways that I interpret that is that people aren't really seeing the bullet. To me, the bullet is more long-term effects.
Yeah.
And I think right there, I think right there he's really indicting the entire society, because we are very much turned into a please ourselves type of society, where we what's the word that I'm looking for? We've almost gotten like narcissistic to the point of our own demise.
Yeah.
You know? Do you see that?
I see that.
Okay. So far you think I'm on track with this song?
Yes.
Is there anything you would add to any of that you've noticed over in your time listening to it?
Let me look over the lyrics, see if there's anything that...
Yeah. We're up and just down into here. Because he is right. He, says because everybody's on drugs.
Yeah. And I think he is also meaning, since he is kind of, if you look at his other songs, you can branch off of this and kind of surmise it from what he said. But he could be saying, like, addicted to music, and, like, music that's not good for you. Everybody wants some, everybody gets none from me. So he could be saying, I'm saying the conscious music. I'm giving you the music that's not gonna just be addicting for the reasons that you normally would listen to music for.
Would that explain why there were certain styles in there? Because you could make the argument that he uses rap, pop, and I just call it growl rock, angry rock. I don't know the term. Screamo. See, in my days when I used to work at a record store, we basically had like rock and soul and jazz. I mean, we in country, if even that, and we didn't have a lot of these subgenres. But he could be talking about that and being some of the bad music in some ways.
Yeah, it's definitely that. He has
pop music sort of promotes narcissism. Rap music is a little bit narcissistic, and it's also a little bit about maybe putting possessions over people. Does that seem to be somewhat true with it? They're bragging more about what they have versus what they've done, where they've come from.
What they don't have, even.
Yeah, you're right. What they don't have. And then you have other artists that are out there that are trying to extend helping hands. And then even growl rock, which, I mean, again, it's just, maybe the public perception of it, the average person's perspective of it. Growl rock does have a lot of hateful lyrics in it.
Yeah.
It does have a lot of...
I mean, he says at one point, just like die.
Yeah, and
die mother effer. So
yeah, and I mean that it could be. I mean, music as a drug or music as a path towards good or bad is definitely something that is played out in some music, and not a lot of people really want to attack their moneymaker, so to speak. But I could see that. I could definitely see that and that would explain why it does kind of go between all of those styles. And I don't think it's necessarily saying that every single rapper, every single heavy metal act is bad. But I do think that it is possible that people are, falling into that. Falling in and listening to music that doesn't really promote an overall healthy mindset. I guess.
Yeah.
And I mean, I listened to that kind of music at one point. I certainly listened to things that when I was younger that didn't exactly lead to good choices. But I mean, I was there when they first started putting parental advisory labels on things, and the gardeners are outside with the weed whackers. So if you hear the weed whacker in the background, that's what it is. We are not being murdered by a weed whacker. But I was there when music started being labeled as bad, and I've never been one to blame music, but one thing I've learned in life is sometimes what applies to you personally doesn't necessarily apply to everybody. And I do think it is possible that music can have a negative influence. And the reason why is that music can have a positive influence. Would you agree with that?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Depending on what kind of music you listen to, that can really shape your life, honestly. Because if you really take the lyrics to heart, and certain, like, a lot of songs nowadays are, well, like he says, about drugs, just girls, getting famous, money, and all of that. And if you really try doing that, like, oh yeah, I'm cool, I'm going to be validated if I mess around with my life and ruin it. That makes me cool.
Yeah.
If you take that to heart, that could ruin you. But if you listen to certain songs that are more like talking about depression and how to get over it, when you're in one of those time periods, you could be like, oh yeah, that's what Tyler Joseph would want me to do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, that's why certain genres like Christian rock are so popular, because they are positive. But on the flip side, you need that negativity too. You need to have somebody tell you about how bad their life is or how bad their state is, so that you don't feel alone. And then I guess if somebody was just screaming hatred or materialism at you, I don't really see how that would help. And that could be where they're going, because they do really in this song have some very distinctive styles. And listening to it, I didn't really feel like that was really what they were going for. Like the skimming through the radio dial was what I was thinking. And then when you were talking about music, it made me think, hey, maybe that is the greater metaphor of this.
Yeah, he has a song called Paparazzi. Definitely recommend giving it a listen. But it's kind of talking about how, like, popular music, you can kind of think of it's about, if you've heard Lane Boy by 21 Pilots, it's kind of that general idea.
Yeah, or some of the stuff by Tom McDonald, Dear Rappers. That's another one that really talks about that. I mean, music does have a bit of responsibility, because now more than ever, music is being produced to manipulate us, and I don't mean that in some sort of
cynical way.
Yeah, cynical or sinister way either. It's just that's what it is. I mean, it is obvious to most people that if you play a sad piano piece, people are going to feel sad. So I guess he's sort of maybe talking about that. And just also, I mean, maybe just culture in general too, that like, the internet, the rise of internet shopping and things like that, like these things have have consequences like a loaded gun. And we're just staring down it, and maybe maybe as a society we're not seeing what's really right in front of our faces, And he does sort of like come down a few lines here. He says, "This is a dying nation, so complacent. Spirits need wakened. What are we waiting for?" And that may be a little bit of what he's talking about. A little bit of we're accepting the I almost just want to say we're accepting the badness that's around us. A lot of people nowadays, I know, I was talking about music being blamed a lot of days. What are they blaming today? What is the favorite thing to blame?
Social media.
Yeah, social media.
I was trying to make sure that was the right answer that you were looking for, so I'm like, wait
no,
a minute.
No, in a lot of ways you wouldn't have a wrong answer, because there are a lot of things they blame. Phones and things like that, and
electronics in general.
From our point of view, I would say that when you were when you were when I was at my darkest, we had cell phones that were like the size of bricks. So go outside, get a brick. I'll wait for you. No, go outside, extend the antenna and put it to your ear and hold it there, and then realize that it was you were being charged, princely sums of money for every minute that you called. I mean, that's how it used to be. You know that? Like, we used to, when we would get internet, you would buy X amount of minutes.
Yeah.
That's how precious it used to be. But again, I'm not saying things were better back then, but back to what I was trying to say before I went off that tangent was, I know from your experience, cell phones or smartphones, the internet, social media, that was helpful for you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How was that helpful for you?
Well, if I didn't have it, I wouldn't have been able to talk to people. And talking it through, as cheesy as it sounds, talk about your issues. Even if it's just some random person that you're never going to talk to again, just getting it out there can really help. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to go off on that, because we had talked about this a long time ago, was that that was not an option that people of my generation or around my generation, we didn't really have like the ability to talk to random peers, because most of the people we would talk to are people that we'd have to go to school with. So if you were open about something and they judged you on it, you sort of had to live with that every single day.
Yeah.
And then again, this show, I hope this show reaches people. I hope people see this. But this show is not about belly aching. I want to make that really clear. This is not about our pathetic lives, because that's stupid. It's a waste of time. This is about letting people know like where we come from, so that if somebody else is like on that same path, like maybe they'll look to us for a little bit of help. And we're not saying we made it, because we still deal with it all the time.
And I just wanted to mention something. This isn't really relating to the subject, but I know there's this one system that if you text CONNECT in all capitals to 741741, you can just text a random person and get everything that you need to get out of your system. And I know it's worked for a lot of my friends, worked for me. So I just wanted to mention that.
Oh.
Yeah. Not sponsored or anything, just
it's really
thought
cool.
it'd be helpful.
It's really weird, because at 14 I would have had to just open up a phone book and just pick a random number and hope that the person didn't hang up on me. But it's good that it's there, and that's that's kind of what I guess the point of this particular chapter is that it's not anybody's fault. It's not anything's fault. But again, if what is in your life is destructive, then you need to get it out of your life. And I think a little bit of that's what he's talking about with drugs. Because overall, like, depending on what drug you're talking about or what condition you're talking about, drugs are vital. Drugs are important. And I don't think he's condemning that. What I think he's really condemning in his parts about drugs is just simply that there's too many people out there who are simply medicated or self-medicated, and they're not necessarily strengthening themselves. I see that when he says we're all falling in love with a new disease. It's I think too many people are looking for excuses to be on medication. That may be part of what he's saying, but I like the tangent you took it on, which is that if you look at drugs as a metaphor and you start looking at like what you can tie that to. And again, that's, I said in the first video, and I'm hoping to say it in every single video, a great song means a lot of things to a lot of different people. Would you say that this could be one of those songs?
Yeah.
But this is definitely, for me personally, I did not really like the way this song was presented. I like the lyrics. I don't need my lyrics to always be deep or metaphoric or anything, but I didn't really like the way that it was presented. But thinking about it, I do respect it as a piece of art, because if he is sort of talking about the fragmented society, showing some of the influences that might be sort of like drugs, and I guess I could see that. If he's talking about hateful rock and materialistic, narcissistic rap, it's hard to argue that those aren't destructive. Right? Like, I mean, you can see him as a drug. Like, somebody reinforcing your hate becomes your drug. You know, I see that with people like my brother who have, you know, extreme political views, and all they want to hear is more people agreeing with them, so that they could go out and argue with an army of a million ignorant people behind them. So what was there? So overall, personally, I like Falling in Reverse. Or he, is it a he or a they?
It's a they.
It's a they. They have one song I believe it's called "Coming Home."
Coming Home, yes.
That's the one song that I really like. I sort of like all of the styles that they incorporated, but I just didn't really like them in the way. So that's sort of the reaction to this, because Izzy wanted my reaction to this particular song. So my reaction is like, again, I wish it was wrapped in a prettier package. You know, there were parts of it that sounded really good. I kind of did like the heavy metal part, but then again, I do come from, my roots are in Iron Maiden, Motley Crue, Cinderella. I don't know how Cinderella made the list. Guns N' Roses.
I'm like, you never talk about them.
Judas. Well, Cinderella has a really great song called "Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone." Don't know what you got. Yeah, I'm not going to go into all of it. I'm going to say copyright, but what I mean by my air quotes is I have a sucky singing voice. But yeah, they had a good song, and it again, like, you know, just to spin a quick metaphor. You know, don't know what you got until it's gone. What a true statement. You know, look around you and appreciate the things you have. So what was our next song? I believe it's up on my screen right here. Because, see, look, we have really moved into the technological era, haven't we? I have my own screen over here. The Only Hope for Me Is You by My Chemical Romance.
On Danger Days.
If it had 2 more words, it would have been...
a Fall Out Boy song.
Thank you. Look at that. We're really simplifying.
By Fall Out Boy.
So before we jump into that, I guess we've got some action here.
Why is she wearing that? That is not what I made.
That is a very odd outfit.
Change.
So, not really sure where we're going quite yet with this.
Alright.
Oh.
Here we go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
There's Bayonetta.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that being Bayonetta. Did you make her a witch, by the way?
There is none.
I thought you had an expansion pack.
I was going to make her a vampire, but I forgot about that, so we need to turn her into a vampire right now.
No, but can't you make her a witch? I thought there was a witch in that pack. So are we just gonna? So our next episode, we're just gonna be living as Bayonetta, or we're just gonna jump around and people will just have to guess at what we're going.
Yeah, you're never gonna know.
You're never gonna know what series you're tuned into. All right, so yeah, so I did like this song, by the way, My Chemical Romance. The Only Hope for Me Is You, and then sadly, doesn't he say something along the lines? Yeah, can I be the only hope for you because you're the only hope for me? Which is really like, I guess you could say that it's a codependent relationship. But then again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But anyhow, we'll start up at the top here, and you know, I'm not 100% sure of where we're going with this particular story, because to me it sort of starts off like some sort of explosion has happened, and then he says, think of the bombs they built.
That's the whole thing with Danger Days. As an album overall, it is the fall of California in 2019.
Oh,
it's not that far off, is it?
Actually, we're in 2019, so I guess we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the entire thing of Danger Days, all the songs, that's kind of what it's based around. If you didn't know that, little fun fact.
So I'm showing a lot of restraint right now because I'm not jumping off and getting all political about the state of California, the state that I've lived in my entire life, that I once loved and really used to, you know, before they coined the phrase haters. I already knew what haters were because I lived in California, and everybody hated on California because they were jealous, I guess. I guess that's the best way to describe it. And now I'm seeing Instagram posts that... I saw an Instagram post yesterday that said, the next time you're feeling sad, remember that there's people living in California. And I was like, oh shit. Like, that never would have been true when I was your age.
Oh, that me.
Huh?
That me.
Yeah. So, okay, so that's where we're standing right here. So, and then we're moving on. And I'm guessing that they're sort of so they're in a post. They're in some sort of post. Hey, we're in Gnome Sweet Gnome. Oh no, Isabella's very sad. She's been listening too much.
Use and question mark.
Oh, there you go. Use and question.
I don't know what that means.
So Isabella's been listening to too much MyChem, and now she's very depressed.
That's what my teacher kept saying, and that's not true because it actually helps. That's just a little thing.
What, you had a teacher that said that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
She said you were sad because you listened to MyChem?
And she's like, you're sad because you listen to all that sad music. And it's like, no, listening to sad music can actually help you way more than listening to happy music. Because if you're like, oh, why aren't I perfect like that? Why don't I have that kind of life? When you listen to something sad, you're like, oh.
I'm not alone?
Yeah, not alone.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of discussion that we would end up having with Pink Floyd's Comfortably Numb. My whole thing is that, like, the best way to deal with it is that you sink into the sadness. You become one with the sadness, I guess is the way that I do it. And if I was to talk to that teacher, I would just say, no, I'm sad. That's why I listen to sad music.
That's what I've said.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I think what happens in society, we're gonna just jump way off track because a lot of these lyrics are pretty straightforward, and we'll dissect them in a second. But I think people, like we were saying about during the last song, a lot of people are quick to blame something, and one of the interesting phenomenons of that are conspiracy theories. Now, I would love to do conspiracy theories all day long. I could invent conspiracy theories with the best of them. But it's interesting that people invent conspiracy theories so that they have something to blame, so that they don't think that life is random. Does that track with what I said? Did you understand what I just said over there?
I understood what you said a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit?
A little bit.
Well, in other words, like, we don't want to deal with the kinds of pressures that are making kids sad today. So it would be easier to blame the music and just say, oh, well, if we could get rid of the music, or if we could get rid of the drugs, or if we could get rid of the guns, like, everything would be fine. Because that's the easy thing. Just put all these objects in a box. But that's not reality.
Put the gay in the suitcase before the metal detector.
You put the gay in the suitcase before the metal detector?
If anyone gets that, good job.
Yeah, I don't. I've been through a few metal detectors in my life, and
does it. Remember that one? Just like put all the gay in a bag right before the metal detector, and you'll be fine.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right, because he was going home to see his family or something. Was that what he was referencing?
No, it was another quick rant. It was he was reacting to homophobic videos, and they're talking about if you had something bad on going on an airplane, you need to put it away before the metal detector. And they were like comparing being homosexual to like something bad that you're not allowed on an airplane.
That's right. That's right. But anyhow, we're going back down to the lyrics here. A lot of these are pretty straightforward. Oh, we're feeling forlorn.
I love this. This just popped out of nowhere. My sim goes, no one likes me. No one will ever like me. Why bother with anything anymore? And your only option is, I'll always love you. There's no, ew, no. So,
yeah, that's that standard answer. Now all of a sudden the metal detector's coming out front here. So why don't you, now he's moving on. Good, and the dog is not barking yet. It's the behind the scenes stuff that comes in front of the scenes that makes it interesting, don't you think?
Yeah.
So anyhow, the only thing that I saw down here that kind of interested me is, I say it's okay, I know you can tell, and though you can see me smile, I still think of the guns they sell. And I'm wondering if I should take that as face value or metaphoric.
Well, with Danger Days, a lot of it was kind of face value, just apocalypse type.
Ah, okay. Okay.
But you could take it metaphorically as an individual song and not as a storyline, because if you listen to Danger Days all in a row, there are like little breaks of like radio broadcasts of like talking about Jetstar and the Cobra Kid. That's a whole other thing. But it is kind of talking about just an apocalypse, California.
Calpocalypse?
Calpocalypse.
Yeah, that's where we're about right now. So it isn't necessary, but it does, because besides trying to be like, I almost said besides trying to be a beacon of light, but we are kind of just dissect all this stuff and like kind of pass along like a way of looking at these things. And guns is definitely guns and bombs that they use are very much a metaphorical type word.
What do you think about these two lyrics? If there's a place that I could be, then I'd be another memory. Can I be the only hope for you because you're the only hope for me? That's part of the chorus.
Wow. Well, if there's a place that I could be, then I'd be another memory. Well, I mean, he could be simply saying that maybe they met during the apocalypse, and he's wishing that that's not where they met because that is their only shared memory. But I'm not 100% sure. I don't see it. Do you see something there?
Not really. That's why I wanted to get your opinion on it. If I'm going to be honest. Not going to lie to you.
I mean, I get that, like, he's basically saying that this person is his only hope. So he wants to be linked with them, both being their only hopes. Which is, again, it's a little bit codependency. It's not necessarily saying that their relationship is based on love, but maybe more almost necessity, or like a codependency type of issue.
Yeah, I'm trying to see the songs that are right next to it in the album. Right after there's a report, and a few songs after, Save Yourself or Hold Them Back. Just thinking of the name, you can kind of see that it's a love song.
Yeah.
And Scarecrow, if you've ever listened to it, it's like protecting the ones you love and kind of being a sacrifice for them almost. That's kind of the way I take it, and it's a very literal song. Everybody hide your body from the Scarecrow. Everybody hide.
Hey, look, Frank Iero. We're seeing him soon, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does sort of strike me as maybe, like, 'cause you can look at this whole thing two ways. If you look at it in a negative light, then he's talking about people who are really in just a relationship out of codependency. But the other way is that it's symbiotic, where you realize that even though this person needs you, you need them. And that can be a pretty powerful thing. I don't know if that's necessarily something you would ever see like instantly about a person, but it would certainly, but if he's talking about some sort of apocalypse, then he's probably talking about finding that little bit of sanity. Sort of like, what he's referring to a little bit of is the opening episodes of Sword Art Online. So who's meeting here? Who's that?
Me and you.
That's me and you. Oh, I got a headband and long hair again?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had me looking pretty bad originally. But that really doesn't look like me at all.
Yeah, because that's what's the hair that you picked.
But then I don't understand. Where am I? Where'd I go? Yeah, I look nothing like that. And are you still my daughter? Because we look to be about the same age.
Well, Sims doesn't have a height slider.
Oh, they don't have a height slider? She got the slab lit and she's walking off. That does remind me of you a lot. Like, you just come into a room to get whatever you need and then you vanish again.
Well.
So you're just going to sit in the middle of this room and... it looks like you're trolling people.
Yep.
It looks like you're trolling people. But yeah, this is a good example, I think, of kind of a... because he's talking about, and if we can't find where we belong, we'll have to make it on our own. I think he is really talking about finding that person to carve out a life from in amongst the apocalypse. And in a lot of ways, life itself is an apocalypse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy. Yeah, it's just not. I mean, it's like... once you leave single digits, like, life is just like, it is just kind of a struggle. It is. But you know, that's the journey. And in this case, it's more of an actual struggle than sort of a figurative struggle. Literal, it's a literal struggle. Does that sound correct to you?
Yeah.
All right. So do we see any common links between these two songs? I don't really know that.
I don't think so. I didn't really pick any songs that were too similar.
Really.
Be sure to listen to both of them. Definitely look into
Falling in Reverse.
Falling in Reverse and Danger Days by My Chem. Those are both really good.
Is that the one that ended up being like a comic book or something?
The comic book.
Or is that Killjoys?
Killjoys was from that one.
Killjoys was from that one. Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. And then he's also behind Umbrella Academy, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do a whole episode dedicated on our two favorite songs from the Umbrella Academy soundtrack. Great soundtrack, by the way. If you haven't watched it, totally recommend it. It's on Netflix.
It is a great soundtrack. It's whoever really chose the songs really.
I believe it was Gerard Way. I believe he wanted to be head of that. So I mean, it does make sense being from a more influential band of the 2000s.
Yeah.
He definitely knows what kind of music he's talking about, you know?
Well, he was a genius having Mary J. Blige trash the donut shop while listening to Mary J. Blige. That was what you'd call meta. It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, so I guess no correlation between the two. Not even common themes really on this one. I do like The Only Hope a little bit better as a song.
As the lyrics go, though, which one do you prefer?
Oddly enough, I think both of them are very. There's not a lot to so-called scratch away at in either one of the songs.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was kind of going.
And there are some major flaws in Drugs, but overall, as words typed on paper, I really did like Drugs. I think that the message was clear, and it was also more. I think it was more. I don't want to say important, but it was more like it had more influential. So next time we're going to. What are we going to do next time? Do we have anything lined up?
Next time we're going to go over the two Umbrella Academy songs that we picked out.
Right, and we will be continuing our little family household here. Oh, there's Amy. That's your mom, in case you didn't recognize her. Is that me now?
Yeah, your hair's changed.
Why is oh my goodness.
Oh, wow. Sensitive.
Wow, don't let anybody go in there for a while.
Ooh, it's shiny.
Yeah. So, although the last episode we didn't end with our traditional all the way back to Studio Pengu days ending, I think this time we should sing our little song while we say goodbye.
Likes.
Subscribe. Bye-byes.